Do you think that there's a change of leadership in America? Do you think that will change anything?
I mean, maybe accelerate Palestinians on the path to destruction. I mean, with Trump is the Huckabee appointment as the ambassador to Israel is insane. I don't think that Trump is like a rabid pro-Zionist. I think he just likes Israel because old people like Israel. But from what I've heard of the Huckabee guy say, that guy, he knows all the Zionist lingo. I guess if you're a Westerner, anytime you hear somebody say like West Bank, I don't know what that is. You mean Judea and Samaria? That's like a huge dog whistle for, oh, this dude is fucking insane. Every time you hear that. So yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't think it looks good for I would say for the Palestinian people with Trump as president.
What about with
By the way,
Abrahamic Accord?
By the way, it doesn't look good for Israel either. It looks very good for the apartheid. It looks very good for the settlers. It looks very good for continuing the occupation. It looks very good for more wars. But for the benefit of Israel, this administration is a catastrophe.
What about that they created the Abrahamic Accord? What about that they created the Abrahamic Accord?
So that's total nonsense. So what they did was, hey, all the people who want to make money with Israel, do you want to ignore the Palestinians and sign a nonsense peace deal on when we all agree already? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. By the way, the real peace deal is all of the Arab nations have very clearly stated that they are totally in favor of a peace deal. They right to exist for Israel. There's no question about it. The debate is nonsense. There is one clear aggressor here. They're the ones who are rejecting peace. They're the ones who are grabbing land. And Gideon's on the ground, and he's telling you they're going to occupy and ethnically cleanse Gaza. Smotrich just told you they're going to try to annex the West Bank. This is as bad as it gets. I mean, this is a genocidal government that thinks, hey, we're back to the bad old days. We conquer people, we kill them, we humiliate them, and there's nothing the world can do about it. But I think there's two things here. One is something that is not at all hopeful, and the other is a little bit hopeful. So maybe. The thing that's not hopeful is, look, in all this time, I'm trying to protect Palestinian lives, now Lebanese lives, now, on and on, Iranian, Syrian, Israeli, all these lives, because war gets them all killed. Peace is the better path. I believe that we could have two beautiful states next to one another. But I'm also trying to protect Israel, because this is madness. And forget Israel. Honestly, I'm trying to protect my Jewish friends and family. And Israel is driving intense hatred, not just towards Israelis, but people aren't going to be rational and say, oh, no, that's the right-wing government of Israel. Israel can have a different government. It doesn't really represent all Jews in the world. People, unfortunately, don't think that rationally. So now they have driven anti-Semitism, what, 10-fold, 100-fold, 200-fold, all across the world. And now I'm afraid the Jews aren't going to be safe anywhere. This is insanity. Stop, you monsters. What are you doing to Israel, let alone Palestine? So that's the darkness. Now, in terms of a slight possibility, I'm not saying that it's likely. It's unlikely. But Trump is a wild card. If any normal establishment, Republican or Democrat, was elected, they would bow their heads to Netanyahu and do 100% of what he wants. Trump will give him 200% of what he wants unless you piss him off one day. And if one day he thinks that this position is making him less popular and he doesn't need any more money to run for re-election, he doesn't need the $137 million in legalized bribes that Miriam Adelson gave him. And by the way, that's why we have Huckabee, Elise Stefanik at the UN, Mike Waltz as National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. That is Team Miriam. Those are the people in the Trump administration that are Israel first, America second. Okay, so those are that's the bad news. But I've seen Trump betray every creditor in his life. And I've seen him turn around on a dime and do things that are totally unexpected. So if this position makes him intensely unpopular, because it will, because Trump is going to lead to more war and more war. And when he does, and his anti-war base gets super pissed, if they get super pissed, there's your ray of tiny little bit of hope that Trump will go, yeah, I already got all the money from you idiots. I'm done with you. We're cutting off the funding. Now, if that happens, then that helps Israel, because right now they're in a situation where Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And they have 100% of the power, and it's driving them to make all the wrong decisions. And a good friend would take us out of that bar fight, right? And stop the madness. And the way you do that is to cut all funding to Israel.